Hello and welcome. Special edition of the High School Huddle. Along with Ronnie Phillips, Still Nicholas, I'm Chris Evans. Today we are talking Altus Bulldog football. Joined today by the head coach of the Dogs. It is Coach Jeremy Reed. Coach, appreciate you joining us here as year number 3 for you. And the second run's off to a good start with a 2-0 start, and I think the best start for the Dogs since 2018.
That's right. Man, sure appreciate you guys having me. Followed you guys for a long time, and so really appreciate you guys for all the positivity you do for high school sports. But, man, fired up to be here with you today.
Coach, it is the 2025 season, which if you rewind 10 years ago, your Bulldogs won the state championship over at Yukon High School against Collinsville, the game-winning field goal. What a season that was. What do you look back on that? How do you look back on that 10 years ago?
Man, it was just it was an unbelievable storybook type season, the way things fell together. Just an unbelievable group of kids, so tough and relentless and really just so close-knit. The team chemistry was amazing just because those kids had, been with each other for so long, but really just truly loved each other. And so, man, seeing those guys when I get to is always a special moment because of the memories made, not just on that day in Yukon as we won a state title, but just all the little things that, you don't see, necessarily in public that were behind the scenes. But very special group of kids, very special time, a time that will never be forgotten in Altus, of course.
Coach, hey, Phil Nichols, good to have you on, brother. Appreciate you very much. Ironic thing about that game, you guys took out Guthrie in the playoffs that year. Mm-hmm. My youngest son, the last kid in my house to ever play high school football, that was the last time he ever played football. He was a starting offensive lineman for the Blue Jays. Got his knee hurt in like early fourth quarter. The trainer tells him it's a meniscus, and I'm down the sideline because I was doing sideline, and he looks at me and says, "Can I hurt that any worse?" And I said, "No, it's just going to hurt." And he said, "Okay." And he trots back on the field because he wanted to finish the game on the field. But I've never shared that with you. But Coach, you ended my baby's football career.
I would say I'm sorry, but I'd be a liar.
I love it. I love it.
I can't lie.
Yeah, that was
you guys took us out. Yeah.
That's right. That was a magical season. You had some kids, of course, went on, played big time ball after that. I know one young man at the Air Force Academy was a multi-year starter there for the Falcons, and you talked about a storybook. That was.
It was. Got one of them. My starting quarterback and corner who led the nation in interceptions as a DB is on staff. He coaches our DBs, Jaden Benway. And so, just a neat time there and being able to still be around a bunch of those guys is pretty special.
Yeah, Taven Bidway, the running back that year off to the Naval. Jaden Benway, you mentioned him. You were 21-4 those couple of years. Then you went to Yukon, back to Altus. And before both of your trips to Altus, just to be honest with you, was not very good football. It just struggled throughout the years. But here you are rebuilding the program for the second time in a row. You're getting better every single year, and it's a chance to have a winning season. I think you might be thinking about playoffs if everything goes right as well. But talk about the process of going into Altus, where I'm telling you, Coach, 0-10, 1-9 seasons, and then you seem to turn it around fairly quickly.
Well, Altus was pretty good there for a couple years after I'd left, and still had good run of kids. And then, like a lot of towns, especially those of us in rural areas, just ran out of some talent there for a few years. And, coming back was definitely a different experience. Even though we had not won leading up to 2014, or they had not won, I think they were like 3-7, 3 years in a row. There were some pretty good football players here. Even in that 2014 group that we went 8-3 with, there were some really good football players. And, coming back, we were just a little more shallow in some of the talent pool of what we had. But I do feel like here in year 3, we've really turned the corner on some things regarding how to win football games and the price it takes off the field to do that. And really proud of our kids for their year-round approach of training. Got that back implemented where our kids are, doing speed and strength every morning in a first hour class period. And we've been doing that since getting back here a couple years ago. And we feed them a high protein breakfast and, just doing a lot of things that are outside the realm of just X's and O's that have contributed a lot. And then, just learning how to win again. Learning how to win is very tough, and especially against a good 5A schedule that we typically play. And so getting them back to the level of understanding they can compete was challenging. And last year, I think we got over that hump. We went 4-6, but we were able to be in every football game, either up or down 7 points, and other than one, and that was against the giant of the Titans, and such a great ball club last year. And so 8 points away last year from 7-3, being in the playoffs. I think the belief started to return, and just being in the routine of our program for 3 years, we're much farther ahead in just the day-to-day processes, and couldn't be more proud of our team right now of the mental approach they've took to this season.
Hey, Coach, just kind of emphasize a little bit more on that. I know I've been part of some teams that struggled, and the hardest thing to do, especially when you come back for a second time, when a team has been struggling, is changing the culture. I mean, you have to have a culture of winning, because there's such thing as a culture of losing as well, and losing is contagious just as much as winning is contagious. So talk about how you got this culture change in Altus to where you got kids to buy into the system, believe in what you guys are saying. Because again, back when we played, it was a little bit different. Now kids these days, they got the internet. Some kids can't take coaching like they used to. And, some kids will take their ball and they'll go down the street, which they're doing right now. So tell me about the culture change that you've done down there in Altus.
Yeah, I think it's just the consistency of day to day. Many years ago, there was this thing called 3-dimensional coaching that I was fortunate to be on the forefront of, and that's been a part of who I am since 2011. And, it's just it's basically a daily playbook of how we kind of do things. But I think that the culture change is simply us being very, very intentional about our standards and expectations. And we're going to try to take great pride in each and every day, focusing on those little details of how we do things, as far as showing up on time, how our lockers, just the traditional, what I think is every probably football coach in America does from a discipline standpoint. It's just staying consistent with it, because I'm sure like any other town, not just here, kids struggle with being intentional and consistent. And it's real easy to do it at the beginning of the season or at the beginning of an off season. But, what about in February when there's nothing to look forward to football wise and it's freezing cold and the wind's blowing? Are you still going to do it? Are you going to do it in July when you can see football season coming? And there's some excitement. Are you still going to pay attention to those details and processes and disciplines? And to me, it's just the consistency. If I had to put a word on it, high accountability, high standards, and a very intentionality to being consistent.
Coach, you also spent some time in between Altus at UConn, and you mentioned the town. I think a lot of people in the Oklahoma City area, Tulsa area, up northern Oklahoma, when they see Altus, they see it on a weather map, and it's the hottest or the coldest place usually in the state of Oklahoma. Talk about the differences in coaching in the Oklahoma City metro area and all the way down in Altus in Jackson County.
Totally different. Kids are afforded way different opportunities living in a metro area versus a rural area just due to all the things they have. And so being able to go and do things to enhance your athletic abilities, whatever that may be, whether we're talking about private trainers or we're talking about facilities, maybe even, back to my youngest son, getting to play flag football in 2 different seasons when we're in UConn in the spring and in the summer, because there was so much availability for that. He was exposed to getting to run and move and do all these things that honestly down here, I mean, you don't have that availability. And so just so much difference in the way kids are afforded opportunities to be able to go do things athletically. Out here, we take great pride in where we're from. We love the rural. We love being what we call on an island. But there's definitely challenges if you're an athlete. You're traveling 2 hours to go play 7-on-7 or AAU basketball or club volleyball or whatever your choices are. Those are the challenges being down here as opposed to living in the metro.
Speaking with Jeremy Reed, the head football coach of the Altus Bulldogs. And one more question before we get into this year's Bulldog Ball Club, which is, again, 2-0, best start since 2018. Got a good chance of going 3-0. Of course, we can say that. We're not playing or coaching, so we'll let Coach Reed and the Bulldogs handle that on Friday up in Cash. But you said learning how to win, and on my note card I put here, you guys lost some close games last year. And can you this year, can you reflect can you and your players reflect on some of those moments last year that is now maybe moving forward into this season?
Oh, I think 100%. We truly look at last year as some discipline issues, and when we say discipline, we're not talking about a kid acting out. We're talking about, maybe not busting an assignment or not making a penalty under our control. We truly feel like that was a separator in 3 of those ball games. And so what we've seen to this point is, week 0 against Ardmore, it's 22-22 with, I think, about 6 minutes to go. And it'd been a little bit back and forth. And I'll be honest, in the past 2 years, our kids would flinch on that a little bit. Are we good enough? Can we do this? Are we worthy of this? And ironically, our book study this offseason was a book called Twin Thieves. And it's the fear of judgment and fear of failure is what the story's about. And we truly felt like that fit our team so well to talk about how that pertains to not just athletes, but us in life. And I truly felt in the Ardmore game that the Twin Thieves had left our sideline, that we truly felt like we were going to win, that we were good enough to make a play. And dang, if we didn't make plays when we had to. And that was a little different last year. And trust me, I'm very sentimental to last year's group. My oldest son was a senior last year, and that was a phenomenal group of kids. I actually sent them a text and told them that the wins that have happened to this point are because of you, because of your building blocks that you laid for us. But definitely have seen in this very early stage of 2 games, some of the things that gave us mental issues last year, I have not seen to this point, and sure hope we don't moving forward.
Coach, you mentioned the victory over Ardmore 36-22 last week. Go to Elk City, win that game 43-16, and you hadn't beaten those 2 teams in several years, but off to a 2-0 start, got cash. But what would it mean for your team to play good on Friday, go 3-0 into district play again? Guthrie and Carl Albert played in the state championship a year ago, but then there's El Reno, Altus, Lawton. There's some teams, 3 or 4 teams fighting for those spots. We certainly think Carl Albert will probably land somewhere in the top 4. But when you get past Carl Albert, there are some spots open that the Bulldogs, if they continue this trend, can find their way. And I think certainly that would have to be a goal that you guys had this year.
Yeah, for sure. We love the fact that we've been able to get two early victories. Honestly, in our program, we don't talk about wins and losses ever. We try to keep our intentionality on the day-to-day processes. Like we've really been intentional about that for quite some time because we believe that all those things will lead to the opportunity for those Friday night victories. But, not doing that kind of speak to make people think I'm not some kind of weirdo that don't love winning. Winning is important in Altus, Oklahoma, because we are out here on an island, and it means so much to our community to rally behind the Bulldogs, whether it's football, fine arts, our volleyball team's doing amazing right now. It's just so good for the community when there's a winner to rally behind. And so, we have a great opportunity Friday night. Cash is an improved ball club, and we'll have to go play well. But it would be phenomenal to go play again better. We played better Friday night at Elk City than we played against Ardmore. And if we can do that against Cash, I like our chances in a district that is definitely very top heavy with 2 juggernauts with Guthrie and Carl Albert. And then after that, you've got some really good football teams and really good football coaches with Lawton, Noble, El Reno. And so we think we're right there in the mix. Time will tell, and a lot will depend on, do we get better and do we stay healthy?
Yeah, I did forget to mention Noble. They're in there as well. You mentioned all the programs in Altus. You didn't mention the swim team. Surely they're good again this year. They're good every single year.
I thought that was understood.
Hey, Coach,
you talked about titles every year.
Every year. Coach, you talked about your oldest son last year. Of course, this year, your youngest son is under center for the Altus Bulldogs. Walk me through the dynamic of just coaching your own children at that level. I know that brings some unique challenges, obviously some great opportunities too, but some unique challenges just as a dad. Walk us through that.
Yeah, when I was I coached college for 2 years after I left UConn, and Peyton, my oldest, was a freshman, going to be a freshman. And so the first 2 years of his high school career, I was sitting in the stands watching and taking it in as just a dad. And then as we returned to Altus, that was one of the attractions is just, I don't want to regret not coaching my kid when I chose this as a profession. And so, it was a ton of fun having him there. He is an offensive lineman. He is very mellow. He is a brainiac of really everything, but especially football, and he's very smart in school. But it was different coaching him as a lineman and his kind of personality than now Jamin, who's a freshman. Jamin's a quarterback, and obviously I'm a little more in tune with the quarterback. That's the position I played. It's what I've coached my whole career. I actually chose to hire a quarterback coach this year. I'm not coaching quarterbacks directly. I thought that would be good for him to hear another voice. I've had to learn some things, to be honest, this summer as we went to 7-on-7 tournaments and our 7-on-7 league. I had to learn how to coach him to make sure he knew that there was a difference in dad and coach, and not so much of like, hey, this is coach time, but more so of like, he's a guy that is really, he's got a pretty, I don't know if tender heart's the right word, but he was maybe struggling with going, well, dang, Dad, he wasn't necessarily separating. And so I've done a much better job of not necessarily coaching him, maybe like I've coached every other quarterback in my life. So I don't know if any of that makes sense, but there are definitely challenges, but the bonuses outweigh the challenges tremendously, because you can never replace the time we're getting to spend together, at practice, in the locker room, traveling. I mean, it's a very special time for me, and I'm trying to peel back and really enjoy all these moments with my two boys coming through.
Well, and a super talented young man, 6'4", about $180, 85. I think last week threw for over 250, Coach. If correct me if I'm wrong on that. And did I read that he already has an offer from a small D1 out in California? Did I read that somewhere?
Yeah, that came because of some track times and track numbers this spring. But Sacramento State contacted us and offered him, whatever that means. Trust me, I think it's silly. But
well, no, I understand that, but I think that's one of the good things about you being a football guy. Of course, you and I have gotten to know each other better over the last couple of years. I know you're a strong man of faith, as the three of us are. And I think it's an incredible thing to be able to spend that time with your kid every day. And you know this because your oldest boy has now moved on to the next chapter in his life. It goes so darn quick, and as daddies, we got to suck that in as much as we can, because you're going to wake up and they're not going to be there, and it's a special thing. I know it comes with challenges, but I really enjoyed and appreciate the fact you said there was many more positives than not, because I think it's a real blessing, but it is a unique thing you have to manage.
Yeah, and it's also fun. Like our staff just kind of left, and we set our opening script for the week. It's kind of fun to walk in his room here in a little while and go, "Hey, let's go over this opening script." Or do you have any questions? The guy living in your house is a little more accessible than the guy not.
That's right.
But no, it's awesome. He's an easy kid to coach. He loves football. Very cerebral type of guy, not just athletic, and so. So far in 2 games, he's been a lot of fun to watch and call plays for.
Now, did he get all of his athletic ability from his mother?
Absolutely.
Okay, very good. Good answer.
Yeah. I mean,
of course, it does.
I got to be way smarter looking than I really am. Right?
Obviously, it does start with the quarterback on all levels of football, but I know he's got a pretty good receiver that I saw, watched a little bit of your highlights. But talk about the receiver and the core around him and some other players, both offensively and defensively, for you this year.
Yeah, we're fortunate to have for Altus a big senior class. We've got 17 seniors, and a majority of those all play big roles. And so our receiving core primarily is all seniors out there. And Jamel Alexander is one of those that has, he caught a lot of balls and touchdowns last year, and he's definitely started out the year pretty hot. And then Camden Lane, Camden is a very explosive player. He plays on the opposite side of Jamel, and he's pretty good with the ball in his hands. And then Cole Osborne, Chris Lewis, both are seniors that are out there doing a great job for us. And then, the little guy in the backfield is pretty good himself. DJ Wilson, he's a returning guy for us for the last couple of years. He rushed for right at 1,300 last year. And so he's really had a great 2 games, a little different style of football we're playing than people are used to in Altus. But the first week he had, I think, 150 rushing and 102 receiving. And so, our skill kids have really had a good start as we expected to the season. And then a lot of seniors on defense, led by Cashin Lamb, Francisco Herrera, Sammy Arrington, Garrett Pierce, Mikey Brown, Taden Reddick. We got a lot of seniors over there that have played some football around here for the last couple of years that are doing a great job. And, just been a lot of fun to see our kids have some success and really have some confidence. Missing a little bit of swagger and confidence has been the missing ingredient. And to this point, it seems like we got a little bit of that back.
When you drive 3 hours to go to a football game, is it like driving 30 minutes for us folks here in the metro?
That's what I tell everybody is, we went over, I guess we went to Stillwater to OSU to 7-on-7 this summer. And we just left that morning, but you had to be there by 8:30. And some coach walked up to me, goes, "Well, you guys came all the way from Altus." I'm like, "Man, this is a normal trip." Like, we go everywhere 2 hours at a minimum. Now, last week to Elk City and this week to Cache, that's awesome. Under an hour, that don't ever happen. But yeah, it seriously is normal for any of us in Altus. If we're driving to Oklahoma City, that is a normal drive. 2 hours and 15 minutes. Here we go.
All right, Coach Reed, you got to make there's so many rules in football. There's one rule you want to change or add. What are you adding or changing?
Well, based off of last week, I'm changing the hurdle rule of a 15-yard penalty because we got it on us. That one's crazy. If you're athletic enough to hurdle, let it stay.
Yeah, exactly. I agree.
That's nuts.
That is nuts. A guy makes an athletic play and gets punished.
Yeah.
And we all think of the Barkley play where he jumps over a guy defending, but sometimes a guy's laying on the ground, you have to jump over. I guess you can call it hurdle, but you would have to jump over him, and I guess that's illegal.
Okay, I'm going to admit it. I had no idea that was illegal.
Yeah.
Did you?
Not at high school level. I remember after he brought it up, I kind of remember a few plays, but
wow.
I thought they got the penalty wrong. I didn't realize it was 15 yards unsportsmanlike. I was like, "Are you serious?" So, if he does it again, is he ejected?
Yeah, that's insane. That's a little much.
You know what? I get behind that one, Coach. I'll sign that petition.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
The second one would be let's play with the same hashes as college. Let's get away from the National Federation wide hashes. Forever I've thought that's injustice to football players that are moving on to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
And also, players in high school are getting bigger and faster, just like on all levels, but maybe get the field a little bit more to the athletic abilities in 2025. I don't know when they implemented the rules in how long ago it was.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
you also got the field goal post a little bit wider in high school. Then you go to play a state championship, then it's a lot smaller, which makes the pressure a little bit more.
We had a good friend of ours, the White Hat, longtime White Hat, that was on, and we were talking about different rules a week or so ago. And Coach, and I'm one of these guys that says just make them universal. High school and college should be the same. All the rules, I don't care all of them. Just make them universal. Anybody that says it's a safety issue is not being intellectually honest. It's not. We just need to go to all the same rules, and it's better for the kids, better for the fans. If you do that, you won't have everybody in high school football screaming when it's not an automatic first down on pass interference, for example.
That's right.
Just simple things, but I would love to see them just say, you know what, we don't even have to talk about all this. We're going to follow the NCAA rules, and let's go play football. That'd make it easy for everybody.
Yeah. Good luck on most Friday nights figuring out if intentional grounding is correct or not. That's another one.
Right.
That's a great one.
That is a great one.
Tackle box, receiver in the area, illegal, all that stuff.
Did you get to the line of scrimmage?
all that. Well, Coach, congrats on a great start, 2-0. I know that's not the goal. You're not finished with that, but I know you want to try to finish off this non-district before a pretty tough district schedule rolls on. So best of luck. Have a great week of scrimmage. And, man, we appreciate you coming on, visiting for a little while.
Yeah, I really appreciate you guys. Been following you since I was the offensive coordinator at Ardmore in 2007 and played the Guthrie Blue Jays when they were really, 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 really good. So,
wait a second. You were on the staff of that Ardmore game?
Yes.
Oh boy! Yeah. Next time we're together, we'll have to relive that night. That was a crazy.
We'll see him in week 7.
I know. That was a crazy night.
Were you on the field or
up in the booth
or in the box?
Oh boy! Yeah, we definitely got to talk. Yeah, Oh, that's awesome. So there's a lot more connectors here than I realized, Coach.
Yeah, like I said, you guys, I've known about you guys, and done some interviews back a long time ago with you guys. You do a phenomenal job for high school sports, not just Guthrie. Just really appreciate you guys, and man, we need more of this in high school sports.
Thank you, Coach. We will we'll farewell here, but we'll see you in a few weeks.
All right, you guys be good.
Thanks,
Thank
Coach.
you.
Take care, Coach.
That is the head coach of the Altus Bulldogs, Coach Jeremy Reed. And guys, I didn't want to get into the numbers too much, but they were 1-9 his first year, 4-6 last year. Already won 2 games this year, and it wasn't very good prior to him as well. I don't want to go over the records, but he's turned this program around. And I know they're 2-0; they got a long way to go, but he has turned them around twice now.
Well, you remember last year when we went down to their place last year, the Guthrie Blue Jays called that game, and they didn't look like a 4-6 team.
No.
I mean, he's right. They lost a lot of close games. He gave a total of 8 points away from being 7-3. I mean, that's this thing that sticks out to me about Coach. You could tell that he's in it for more than just wins. I mean, how many high school coaches do you know that give out a book for the team to study to learn from? Seriously. No. I mean, so I became a big fan of his just in the way he carries himself, how he conducts himself. Obviously, very good football coach. Won a state championship. He had a 500 record when he was at UConn, which is unheard of. I'm a big fan of Coach Reed's. I wish him nothing but the best. I want him to win every game except for one.
And we appreciate you checking us out. A reminder, the High School Huddle, our live shows is every Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. So come join us, put your comments in there, and we'll pop on the screen and talk high school football with you. You want to talk Altus Bulldogs, you want to talk about the Alva Bulldogs, whatever you want to talk about, we will be glad to talk about high school football. So join us Wednesday night at 6 o'clock. For Ronnie, Phil, Chris, we appreciate Coach Jeremy Reed of Altus joining us, and we'll talk to you Wednesday night on the High School Huddle.